Alright, so I've been challenged to put together a list of 7 different bourbons to go in these 7 different categories.
Market Northwest Bourbon, you've been challenged to do this. 7 deadly sins of bourbon.
And you know what? Challenge accepted. Let's go. So the concept of this list was put forth by...
I'm Brian.
And I'm Debbie.
And we are the Buffalo Bourbon Enthusiasts. Today, we are going to talk about the 7 deadly sins and our bourbon collection.
Stick around and see our most sinful bottles.
And in the video description, I will put the link to their video because I think it's a great idea and it's just a lot of fun. Now, when I first saw the video from Troy at Baker Drinks about the 7 deadly sins and what bourbons they align with, the first thing I thought of was the movie Seven. Because the movie Seven is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's on my top 10 list. It's directed by David Fincher. That's the same director that brought you Fight Club and The Game and a lot of other fantastic movies. But if you guys out there are not familiar with the 7 deadly sins, I'm going to let Morgan Freeman explain it to you.
There are 7 deadly sins, Captain. Gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, pride, lust, and envy. 7.
Hold on. That's not even my desk.
Okay, that's a fun challenge. Let's see which bourbons I would pair with these 7 deadly sins. And to do that, I'm going to turn on the lights so you guys can see these bottles a little bit better. Okay, so based off the order of march that Troy from Baker Drinks did his video, the first one on the list of the 7 deadly sins was Pride. And the very first bottle that came to mind was this Obtainium. Now this Obtainium I won in a raffle. It is bottle 1 of 1. And I've never seen a bottle that is a single barrel, single bottle that says 1 of 1 on the label. So I know for sure there is not another one of these bottles. I have the only one. It is a 27-year-old 156.8 proof Canadian whiskey finished in port barrels. I won it in a raffle on the whiskeychannel.com when they did a fundraiser, and I'm very proud of this bottle. And so when it comes to Pride, this is the first thing that came to my mind. The second deadly sin on the list is greed. So this is talking about your most expensive bottle on your shelf. Now I have kind of a twofer on this one because the Russell's Rickhouse was the most expensive bottle that I've ever bought before taxes and all that stuff out the door. And so the Russell's Rickhouse is right up there with the number 1. But when it comes to overall price, this 4-gate triple oak was actually more expensive for me because I won it in an auction. Now the auction price was less than that Russell's Reserve single Rickhouse, but once you add on the shipping, the taxes, and the auction fee that I wasn't aware of when I was betting on it, once you add all those added on costs, this one was about $40 more than the Russell's Rickhouse. This is the only bottle I own that cost me around $300. So this is definitely my most expensive bottle. The next category is lust. What is the sexiest bottle on your bar? And I had a really hard time in trying to figure out which one is the sexiest bottle on my bar because I think this bottle is pretty darn sexy. I think the Jack Daniel's Hero Select bottles are pretty darn sexy. I thought some of these really distinct bottles that I got from Boundary Oak that are signed from the master distiller, I think these ones are pretty sexy because they're very distinct. But after spending some time and really thinking about which bottle on my bar is the sexiest bottle, I've got to go with the Horse Soldier. Because this bottle was designed by the wives of the guys that went to Afghanistan right after 9/11. They designed this bottle. It's forged in the steel from I-beams from the World Trade Center towers. And there was just so much heart and soul put into this bottle. And you can see their emblems embossed in there. And it is signed by one of the original Horse Soldiers. So after spending some time looking around my bar thinking which bottle was sexier than the rest, the Horse Soldier Barrel Strength, personally signed, definitely my sexiest bottle. Okay, next on the list is Gluttony. Gluttony is which bottle you have the most of. And so the first thing that came to my mind was veteran-owned distilleries, because I have a lot of bottles from veteran-owned distilleries. But then after I did the count, I found that I have over twice as many local Pacific Northwest craft bourbon bottles than I have veteran owns. But then after watching their video again, I realized they were talking about from the same manufacturer, like the same distillery. And so by far, my Maker's Mark collection definitely takes that. Because after going through and doing a count, I have 39 different Maker's Mark bottles. I've got a couple special ones that are on base, like an ACU camouflage pattern and a more woodland multicam camouflage pattern bottle. I've got a Seahawks bottle. I've got a bunch of the private select single barrels. I've got 7 different on base exclusive military picks. I've got a bunch of the wood finishing series, and the list goes on and on. I've got a ton of Maker's bottles. And so with 39 different bottles from Maker's alone, that is by far my most gluttonous brand right there. Okay, so number 5 is Wrath. Which bottle are you never going to buy again? Like it hurts you to talk about it, like you have this pent up anger, like which one do you just have wrath for? And mine is High West. I've tried multiple of their bottles and I have not found a High West bottle that I like. I've tried multiple samples of High West. This bottle was a gift to me. This one was a military base exclusive that I bought myself. And I have not found a High West product that I would actually recommend buying to anyone. Midwinter's Night Dram, everything included. Just my personal preference. High West does not do it for me. And I will not buy another bottle from them. Okay, next on the list is Sloth. Sloth is that one that you know is always available, but it's like you're too lazy to buy it again. And this was pretty easy for me because JTS Brown, I've bought 2 or 3 bottles of JTS Brown. I went through them very quickly because it's a very drinkable $20 bottle and it's always available. It's always out there. And so whenever I see it at the store, I'm like, I'm never in a rush to buy it again because I have a lot of other budget bottles that I can drink off of. And JTS Brown is just that one that I keep passing on, buying it again, even though I call it a shelf staple because it's a $20 bottle that's absolutely fantastic. But I know it's always available. And so I haven't bought another one to replace the one that I killed months ago. Okay, so the next one is Envy. Now the challenge was to talk about a bottle that your friends have that you don't have that you really wish that you had. And the bottle I really wish that I had is the E.H. Taylor 4-grain, but none of my friends have it either. And so that doesn't really fit. But when it comes to a bottle that one of my friends have that I don't have is the Woodinville Triple Oak. My buddy Marvin at Whiskey Wine 101 has a Woodinville Triple Oak that even the owner and master distiller of Woodinville wanted to buy from him because they don't have anymore and he really loved it. And so when it comes to Envy, it's that Woodinville Triple Oak. Marvin, you gotta let me try it, bro. Alright, so with that said, the next item on the list is to challenge some other channels to do this list. Pair the 7 deadly sins with 7 bourbons that fit in that category. So Marvin, Whiskey Wine 101, you're the first one on the list. And the next one on the list is you, Rob, Whiskey Edition. I'm going to put your channel in the video description. Tell me which one of these 7 deadly sins you could pair with a whiskey. Because I know you have an awesome collection and I'm really looking forward to what you would pair with this list. And finally, my good friend Independent Joe. You can find his link in the video description as well. Independent Joe, what whiskeys would you pair with this list? I'm also going to challenge Bobby, Bad Axe Bourbon. What whiskeys would you pair with the 7 deadly sins, brother? Drop a comment below and let me know which whiskeys that you would put in these 7 different categories of the 7 deadly sins. Feel free to let me know where I went right, where I went wrong, and what would you do in your shoes. Thanks for joining me. Earn, Protect, Enjoy. Cheers.